In the stage 1 we looked at forms, and I want to return to forms. Forms are based on tables. They can be based on queries, but most of the time they're based on tables. Forms provide a nice user-friendly interface that the user can interact with when they want to add, delete or add data to a table without having to work directly with the table. Before we get stuck into designing forms from scratch, I actually want to go through some of the basics that we covered in the stage 1. First of all, let's create a form. In my navigation pane, I'm going to click on the table TBL Instructor, and then I'm going to click the Create tab in the ribbon. And here we have a Forms group with a number of ways of creating forms. I'm just going to hit the Form button to immediately create a form based on the table I'm sitting on. And here's the form here, based on Instructor. Immediately I'm viewing the form as if I was going to enter data or edit data or delete data. So I want to look at the different ways in which you can view the form. On the very left of the ribbon you can see a View button, and it actually has a drop down. And when you click the drop down you can switch to 3 different views. If for example I choose Form View, this is if I was a user about to enter data and work with data in my database. But if I hit the drop down again I can change to Design View. And this is purely for the developer to change the design of the form rather than to enter data. And the third type of view, if I return to the Home tab in my ribbon, is Layout View, which allows me to see the data and change the design of my form at the same time. So you can switch between a variety of views. Now staying in the Layout View, what the Layout View tends to do is tends to group controls into a particular single group. And so when I go to resize something, let me take this for an example, they all resize because they all act as one group. Often though I want to delete and add and resize individual components of a form. So I'm going to remove the layout. Now in 2013 the easiest way to do this is to press Ctrl A to select all the objects and to right click and then choose Layout and remove Layout. But if you're in 2010 you'll find a button to remove the layout under the Arrange tab in your ribbon. But I'm going to remove the layout using my right click method. Now what happens is I can click on an individual control such as Instructor ID field, and I can resize this field without resizing all of the controls on my form. If you want to delete a control such as Instructor ID, I can simply click on it and press the delete key on my keyboard and it's gone. If I want to add a field, I'll simply go to the Add Existing Fields button, which resides on the Form Layout Tools Design tab. If I click the Add Existing Fields button, here are a list of the fields in the table that I base my form on, and this form is based on the table TBL Instructor. If I wish to re-add the Instructor ID, I'll simply drag it out of the field list and plonk it back onto my form. And I've added the Instructor ID. I can then easily move it and resize it should I need to. But I'm actually going to delete it. What I would like to do is resize the existing controls on my form to about half the size they are at the moment. So I'm going to click on Instructor ID, hold the Control key and click on Phone Number and Extension. And I'm just going to resize and make them half the width they currently are. I'm also going to rename the title. TBL Instructor is not very user friendly. It's just basically telling me it's based on the table instructor. I'm going to click up here and actually double click, and then I'm going to type a different sort of title and call it Instructor Details and press Enter. So it's easy enough to change the design of a form either in the Layout view where you can change the design and see the data at the same time, or in the Design view, which is the most powerful view for designing a form. And then ultimately when you want to see what the user will see, from the Home tab I'll click the View drop down and I'll choose Form View, and that will be what the user actually sees. And I can see this is my first instructor, and using the triangles at the bottom of my screen I can move using the navigation buttons between each of the 5 instructors, and I can see what particular classes they're down for teaching. I'd like to save this form, so I'm just going to hit the Save button on my Quick Access toolbar, and I'm going to save it as FRM Instructor, which is the form instructor, and OK. Having saved the form, I'll now close the form and we'll start to have a look at creating forms from scratch.